Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my updated Oscar predictions for June 2024 leading up to the 2025 Oscars, this time for the below-the-line categories, the text, stuff like cinematography, visual effects, sound, we're even going to get into animated feature, all a bunch of cool stuff. Now, let's just start off with cinematography, and I will say, one thing I do want to point out is that in terms of Best Picture nominees that could be potential tech players, there's not a lot of them. At least as of right now. I mean, obviously the fall festivals might come around and we'll have to see. But I'm looking at my predictions for Best Picture, and, I'm looking at the community's predictions for Best Picture. It's kind of all over the place. It's like, not really all over the place, but like, there's not really that many. At most, we're looking at maybe 3 films, like 3 big tech giants contending for Best Picture. And even then, stuff like Joker and Here, they're not like locks for Best Picture. So really the only 2 locks for Best Picture we have that are like big tech contenders are Dune Part 2 and Blitz. And there is supposedly a chance Blitz doesn't even come out this year, which would just be annoying, because, but I have to assume Blitz is coming out this year. I have to assume that. But, so it's like we may end up with only 3 big tech players, whereas, last year at the Oscars, we had Oppenheimer, we had Barbie, we had Killers of the Flower Moon, we had The Zone of Interest, we had Poor Things, we had a lot, Maestro, there were a lot of movies, but oddly enough this year, there's a lot of contemporary stuff, like Sing Sing, Honora, Emilia Perez, Seed of the Sacred Fig, Juror Number 2, Flint Strong, the ones that I'm predicting, or even the ones that the community is predicting. Obviously, yes, Sing Sing, Honora, Conclave, which I've heard is like contemporary, Queer, which sounds contemporary, the Nickel Boys, which sounds contemporary. It's like a bunch of contemporary stuff. So I'm wondering if this is a year where a lot of the tech categories are just not going to go to big Best Picture contenders. Like, maybe it actually gets split up and more love gets spread to films that are just not in Best Picture. That'd be very fascinating to see if that happens. But in doing so, with that, I think that might give Dune more of a chance to sweep in a lot of categories, like a lot of categories. And obviously, as of right now, I think Dune's winning Best Cinematography, because the first film won. This one is even more visually interesting than the first film. And again, I don't really have a lot of other good options in terms of like what could beat it, because there is Joker Folie à Deux, which, it does look more gorgeous than the first film. But again, here's the thing about Joker 2, because I've also been really wrestling whether Night Bitch is going to be a Best Picture contender, because Amy Adams is winning the Spotlight Award, and I think she might actually win Lead Actress at this point. But and it is true that that Searchlight does typically get in, but it sounds contemporary. And I was juggling whether or not I should take Joker out of Best Picture, but I can't justify that because I had it in like Lead Actress, Cinematography, sound, production design, and potentially film editing, potentially original score. Like, it was too many nominations for a movie that wasn't getting into Best Picture. And when you look at all of the stuff that's in that trailer, it's like, man, this can't just be Babylon. This can't be Babylon. Especially when, again, like I said, it's looking like the Best Picture contenders might not be sweeping, or at least in terms of nominations, might not be taking in a lot of tech nominations. So I have to go with Joker right now, and Maria. We have Maria in here. The movie starring Angelina Jolie, directed by Pablo Larraín. The cinematography is being done by Edward Lockman. He just got in for El Conde. Which the funny thing is, I was predicting El Conde for the longest time until the until like I think it was like it's I think it was Chile didn't submit it for best international feature, and everyone kind of forgot about it. It's like, all right, I might have to drop it at this point. And then out of nowhere, ASC nominates it, the American Society of Cinematographers. It's like, okay, yeah, it's back. It's going to get nominated. And sure enough, I predicted El Conde to get in, and I reaped the rewards from that. And so I have to believe Maria is going to get in. I have to believe Maria. Again, there's just not a lot of other good options here. When you look down after 5, like and even Blitz, like I know nothing about this cinematographer, and I don't know what kind of shots that they are able to get in. I mean, hell, even 12 Years a Slave, Steve McQueen's big film that got Best Picture. Even that didn't get a cinematography nomination. So we'll have to see how this goes. But again, World War II film, involving some bombings, it's like, I have to assume it's going to be a tech player. And then the Grand Tour, I'm wondering if this could pull an ASC. Now, granted, this has 3 cinematographers, which might hurt it. But man, I'm looking at the cinematography in the trailer, and it looks amazing. It looks incredible. But again, they don't have Edward Lockman behind it. But is that going to matter? Like, I think Grand Tour actually won the director award at Cannes, so it's not impossible. Like, maybe some eyes might be on it, but man, like, it's just tough. It is really, really tough. And then you're going to see Nosferatu pop up really high up below the top 5 throughout this whole thing, because I have no idea what to do with Nosferatu. I've seen the trailer. It looks every bit as incredible as I was hoping it would be. Like, oh my god, if you were to remake Nosferatu for today, this is how you should do it. And the fact it's from the director of The Lighthouse and The Witch gets me so excited. And it looks gorgeous. If I were just going off my own opinion, give this movie cinematography, give it production design, give it costume design. It looks incredible. But it's a horror movie. Not just a horror movie. No, it's like, as the Oscar expert said, it's a remake of a monster movie. So it's like, will they go for this? It's just tough, because it makes sense. But, and granted, it's also not in black and white. But at this point, the cinematographer has gotten an Oscar nomination for The Lighthouse. So, like this guy's in the club. They're in the club right now at the Oscars. So, will they have an advantage? But again, it is a monster movie. But again, what other options? Like, The Girl with the Needle, the trailers look gorgeous, but it's also like, are they going to remember this movie at the end of the day? There's no trailer for Honora, so I can't really say if it's going to get a cinematography nomination, but again, it sounds, from everything I've heard, it sounds contemporary, and contemporary stuff don't really get nominated for cinematography. Megalopolis, I mean, I don't know, Conclave, I have not seen a single shot of that film. Here, The Fire Inside, like, I'm putting The Fire Inside in because it's directed by a cinematographer, so maybe the cinematographer at hand is going to be, much, like going to know a lot more, like, what's going on here, or, like, what the director wants, but I don't know. Gladiator 2, if it's a big contender, maybe, but, hold on. Okay, so the first Gladiator did get a cinematography nomination. But man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to predict this. Like, I don't know. I guess it would also depend on how strong Gladiator 2 is. And I do think, I don't know whether it was the Oscar expert or Brother Bro that said this, but I think this is true. Gladiator 2 is either going to be Napoleon or more than Napoleon. Because if Napoleon managed to get 3 nominations, including production design, which didn't even get in at BAFTA, I kind of have to, like, that really puts Gladiator 2 in an interesting position. But again, I don't know what it's going to do. And then Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, I mean, I don't, like, it's just not as acclaimed as the first film. And even then, it does, like, visually, it's nowhere near as good looking as Fury Road. So, And Challengers, I mean, it looks like it has some pretty interesting camera angles. But again, do I really want to go with that? I don't know. It's like, I desperately want to put in Nosferatu, Because again, I've seen the trailer and it looks incredible, but I can't justify it. It's a monster movie. It's a remake of a monster movie, and I don't even think, and I don't even know if I want to say it being black and white. Like, no, not being black and white is going to hold it back, because like, I don't know. It just looks amazing. I mean, it's just tough. Like, that's literally, like, but I think that's really the thing I'm being held up on. It is a remake of a monster movie, and I'm worried that might hold it back, but I don't know. I really don't know. This is really hard to figure out. And then we get to film editing. All right, film editing. This is where it's a lot more tied to Best Picture. This one, and like, I'll do this. Yeah, like, this is one of the few like tech categories that I feel like it is very much tied to Best Picture, unlike some of the other ones. Like, because even if you're contemporary, you could probably still get in for film editing. And I think Dune's winning again. I feel like, you know, there's not really an obvious runner up. I have The Fire Inside in, because The Fire Inside, it is like I do have it in, because I have it in Best Picture, and it is a sports movie. And if it's a sports movie releasing in December, and it's, you know, again, being directed by being directed by Rachel Morrison, but more importantly, being written by Barry Jenkins. I'm wondering if this could be like an inspirational sports movie that comes out during award season, like King Richard. If it's something like that, then I think, yeah, film editing would definitely come along with it. Blitz, again, I think it, like, given what kind of movie this is, it just sounds like just a general tech player. Emilia Perez, it's a musical, so I think that could help it, but at the same time, I don't know. West Side Story didn't make it. West Side Story did not make it to film editing. So maybe I shouldn't be so cocky when I say that, but again, there's not a lot of other options. And then there's Sing Sing. Again, just general Best Picture contender. They might think it's just very good. So I don't know. Juror number 2, maybe. But again, because it is a courtroom drama, so maybe that could happen. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, I don't know. Maybe. Honora, Here, I don't know. Night Bitch, Joker Folie à Deux. Maybe you know what? Maybe I should have, because currently I have Joker higher, like, in Best Picture. So, but again, its Best Picture position is really wobbly right now for me, because like at this point, I don't think Lady Gaga is winning Best Lead Actress. So without Lady Gaga, I'm wondering if Lady Gaga is that Jenga piece that like causes the whole Joker tower to fall. But again, it has so much potential in other categories. And I don't want to predict it for a lot of these categories if it's not going to get in Best Picture, but it's really tough right now. It's really, really tough. Challengers, the editing looks very, very snappy, but again, it's not in Best Picture, so I don't really want to predict that. The Room Next Door, Conclave, Furiosa. Yes, Furiosa won editing, but it's also not in Best Picture that it's kind of crazy. Like, at best, it is The Woman King, where that got ACE, the American Cinema Editors Award, the Eddie Award for drama picture, editing in a drama picture, where, you know, The Woman King got that, and that was pretty much the only editing nomination it got. So, yeah. Then we get to production design. This is where we kind of break off from Best Picture, but I don't know, I guess I have 3 out of 5 in Best Picture, but again, a Joker is, Dune, again, winning. I've already said my piece. Blitz, it's World War II, Britain, it might just happen. Joker, the first Joker did not get production design, but the production design in Joker 2 looks way too good for them to pass up, especially since we're not dealing with like so many like big Best Picture juggernauts taking up all the categories. Like, we're not dealing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we're not dealing with The Irishman, we're not dealing with Jojo Rabbit, we're not dealing with 1917. We're not dealing with so many movies in Best Picture. At most, we might see 3. And Joker, again, is wobbly. So I think Joker 2 has a better chance. Again, less competition. At least Best Picture competition, I should say. And also, like the production design just looks stronger in this film. Gladiator 2, again, at minimum, this is Napoleon, or it is more than Napoleon. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And Wicked. I originally had like Megalopolis in here, but I don't know. I rewatched the trailer for Wicked. This might get. I think it's I think it's going to retain like a couple of nominations, like production design, costume design. I think Wicked might be safe in those categories. And plus, the production design is by Nathan Crowley, a frequent collaborator of Christopher Nolan, and has also done production design for other films like First Man. Nathan Crowley has like 6 nominations. He might get nominated for Wicked because, again, the world looks huge. It's a big fantasy musical. I mean, it's literally the world of Oz, and it looks incredible. Like I feel like it would have to get in again, especially since there's not as much Best Picture competition. Yeah, Megalopolis, no. Nosferatu, this is another category where I'm really struggling to not put it in, but at the same time, I think cinematography might be, it's more one of those, I really want to put it in cinematography, but I think I could, in terms of predictions, I can probably leave it out of production design, even though, I mean, good God, it looks incredible. Here, I don't know, from what like everything I've heard about this movie, it's like it looks very unconventional. So I don't know, like the fact that like reportedly it's like in one, like the camera's just in one corner of the room and we're just kind of watching this. It's like it's giving like the Zone of Interest vibes, and the Zone of Interest did not get a production design nomination. So yeah, that's kind of Furiosa. No, I don't think so. Again, I feel like because Mad Max Fury Road, like, reinvented Mad Max in such a new way, whereas, you know, Furiosa, it's mostly just kind of doing the same thing, you know, that Fury Road did, but probably on a smaller scale. So there's that. Beetlejuice. The first film did not get a production design nomination, so I'm not going to bet on that here, but maybe in a couple of categories. We'll have to see. Conclave, I don't know. It sounds contemporary. Even the Two Popes didn't get that. The End, Kingdom Planet of the Apes, Maria Amelia Perez. Again, a lot, like I don't know anything about The End. Or at least nothing, like, I have to see, like, images or trailers for that. And apes, probably not. Like, none of them got in. At this point, I'm just trying to fill out slots of 15. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do at that point. Costume design. This is where I feel like Joker might pull off a win. Because again, really no Best Picture contender seems that strong in costume design. Like, even the first Dune couldn't get in. Now, granted, you do have that Florence Pugh character, like, you know, she's like a princess or something like that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's enough. So we very well just might see a film not in Best Picture win costume design. I mean, hell, it happened with the first Dune. Like, Cruella beat, you know, the first Dune. And I think it could be between Joker and Wicked. Although then again, I do currently have Joker in for Best Picture, so there is that. But again, it is wobbly. But the costumes in Joker look way more stylish than even the first Joker. Like the whole musical sequences. I mean, my God, the costumes look incredible. So I think this might be where it could win something. And Wicked. I mean, the costumes look amazing. If this really popped off, maybe this could win, but I don't know. The Joker just might be seen as more prestigious and artful with its costume design. Blitz, I think it might just be safe for a nomination. It's not gonna be like All Quiet on the Western Front, where it's just like army guys. Like, no, like, you know, what was it like? Like Saoirse Ronan has some outfits. They look pretty cool. Like, could get a costume nomination. And then Gladiator, again, going with the Napoleon logic. No, but then there's Nosferatu. I don't want to leave Nosferatu out for costumes because the costumes look incredible. But again, I think it. I don't know. I really don't know here. Beetlejuice. The costumes in Beetlejuice look amazing. But again, I don't want to predict that, right? I don't think it's gonna do that. Megalopolis honestly maybe could happen. but again, everyone hates it. And it has found a distributor. Like, Megalopolis has found a distributor. But again, I don't know if could Megalopolis actually get costume design? Like, could it actually? I mean, that is a possibility. I think honestly, maybe out of all of its categories, either production design or costume design are its most likely nominations. Because it could get those two. It very well could get those two. Maria, I don't know. Maybe, but the piano lesson, I have it in here because, you know, maybe it's like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but I don't know. Then again, Ma Rainey came out in a weak year, so it's like, would it have been nominated if, you know, we still had Dune, if we still had a bunch of other movies? I don't know. Furiosa, again, the first film won costume design, but I just don't think it's going to be seen as groundbreaking as groundbreaking as Fury Road. The collaboration, I don't know, here, Conclave, Amelia Perez, yeah, I don't really see that. So yeah. Makeup and hairstyling. This is fascinating because so many things could happen here. So many things could happen. People are kind of conflicted. Like, could Dune win? Could Beetlejuice win? I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm not so sure who wins. Like, I have A Different Man in number one, but I'm not confident in that. Now, what does A Different Man have going for it? Well, it is using makeup to transform the lead actor. That does tend to work. But, you know, I don't know how long he has that for. And I guess it also depends on how visible this movie is. Like, is it competitive to win? Because if the movie is just not very visible, then the Oscars just might go for Dune Part 2. Because even though the first Dune did not win makeup, this one has some newer characters, like there is the Austin Butler character, but then again, is he just going to be seen as like another version of, you know, Dave Bautista and Stellan Skarsgård? I don't know. It could just be seen as one of those two. Or it's like another one of those. So it's tough. Beetlejuice, I mean, some people have it at number one. I just don't know if that's the kind of film that wins makeup and hairstyling these days. I just don't. Like, the Oscars these days really seem to be more into like the prestigious makeup. They don't really go for like the really crazy, insane makeup anymore. Sasquatch Sunset, I have that in because they completely transform all the actors into Sasquatches, and like from head to toe, and that is easily something the makeup branch could do. They could easily do something like that. Because like all the actors are like unrecognizable. So they might just do that. And I kind of struggle between Joker, Volley à Deux, and Furiosa. Because there is a lot of makeup in Furiosa, but there's also some makeup in Joker. Now, at the same time, Furiosa probably has more prosthetics. And so honestly, I'm wondering if putting Joker 2 in at number 5 is a bad idea, but I don't know. I am kind of struggling between those two. I am on Award Expert, and if you want to see any kind of up-to-date predictions, I'm always updating my predictions almost daily. You can follow me at the Hannahcast, like same handle you'd find me on YouTube. Like, yeah. Nosferatu again. I want to predict it, but however, the Oscars don't like horror movies, especially in makeup anymore. Again, that's kind of like, that's it. Like the makeup branch, actually, then again, I think like ever since the makeup branch makeup was made into a branch, the only horror movie that got nominated was The Wolfman, because like the makeup branch wasn't established until 2006. So, like, you know, it's interesting, you know, would American Werewolf in London have gotten in if there was a makeup branch, or The Fly, or The Cell? Or Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's fascinating. And plus, again, it's a lot more competitive these days, and so yeah, I don't know about Nosferatu. This would have to be really, really, really strong for me to predict it. Megalopolis, I think it'll just be Babylon. It'll show up in the short list, but it's not really going to do anything. Wicked, some people are saying, well, I mean, or putting a lot of people are putting Wicked in. I don't think they're gonna do it because they're not really transforming anybody with prosthetics, and people are going, well, what about the Wicked Witch of the West, like Cynthia Erivo's character? I'm like, yeah, they made her green. Like that's it. They just put green face paint on her, and like obviously there's some other stuff, but it's like for the most part they just put green makeup on her and called it a day. It's like that's not really enough. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Uh, the shrouds, the shrouds. I don't know. Substance. Here, I don't know. They're going to be using a lot of CGI, but maybe they do have makeup. I don't know. The Deadpool and Wolverine. This would really depend. Now, granted, the first Deadpool did not get in for makeup and hairstyling, and also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did not, even get shortlisted. So I guess that's why I have it outside the shortlist. But who knows? Maybe they have a bunch of like crazy like multiverse characters, and we're gonna get into more of that multiverse stuff with Deadpool 3 here in a bit. With visual effects. Actually, I think it comes right after this category. But yeah, Maria the Apprentice. I don't think it's gonna be enough. I really don't think it's gonna be enough. Then we get to visual effects. Oh boy, this is okay. Yes, Dune Part 2 is winning. It's gonna win. Like, it's not a contest at the Oscars. At the Visual Effects Society Awards, I'm really interested if Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is gonna win. Even if Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes won the Visual Effects Society Award, I would still predict Dune Part 2 for the Oscar. But, I mean, Visual Effects Society loves Planet of the Apes. They love Planet of the Apes. So, maybe they put that in. Like, maybe they vote for that. But still, Dune's winning the Oscar. I just think the real race is at the Visual Effects Society because I think that's interesting. Gladiator 2, hearing the descriptions of some of these sequences, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, if Napoleon could get in, Gladiator 2 is going to get in. Like, yeah. Here is going to be, this is a very interesting thing because there's some controversy around the usage of AI in this film, and I don't know, everything from what I've heard about this, it's like, when it comes to like training AI to create, like human faces, it's not that much different from what deepfakes already do, except they're doing this in real time. I think that's going to be the fascinating thing, because so yeah, in terms of the ethics and stuff like that, I think it's not going to be that much of a problem, considering like AI has been used in visual effects for the longest time. Now, if this was like a completely AI movie, then yeah, I think that would be a problem. But I think with visual effects, I mean, you see AI everywhere in visual effects. I mean, you can't really do CGI without some usage of AI. Like, whether it's simulations or stuff like that. Like, there is always AI in some way being used. And here, again, I feel like in terms of de-aging the actors, it's not going to be that much different from what we see in deepfakes, or probably, it's probably going to be, well, I'll get to this part here in a bit, but in terms of the training of the AI, it's probably no different than what we're seeing with deepfakes as is. It's just that it's happening in real time. But even though they said they're doing this in real time, like the AI is, or the de-aging is being done in real time, I have to assume there's still post-work. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think, well, they're saying that, oh yeah, man, they're doing this in real time. I'm willing to bet, there has to be some digital cleanups later on. Like, they have to do that at some point. Like, I don't think you can really do CGI without, properly without some post work. Like, some at least. So I think that's what's going on with here. Now, the reason why I have it at number 4 is because, at the same time, I did say all that, but the Oscars don't really like de-aging that much anymore. Not really. And hell, I think in terms of de-aging, or even just CGI people in general, the only movies that were nominated for that were Benjamin Button, what was it called? Captain America, the Winter Soldier, because it did have that old CG, they used visual effects to make Peggy Carter look old, so that might happen. So that kind of happened. Then there was Rachel from Blade Runner 2049, although I'm wondering if she was cut from the movie. I think, actually, no, if she was cut from the movie, then the movie would have also gotten a lot of visual effects nominations. No, what am I saying? A lot of visual effects nominated. It would have been nominated for visual effects anyway, but still. And then there was The Irishman. All right, probably the biggest achievement up to that point. But then they kind of stopped. They didn't nominate Ghostbusters. They didn't nominate, even though it's not de-aging, I guess we're just talking about like CGI people. They didn't nominate Ghostbusters Afterlife. They didn't nominate the deepfakes in Welcome to Chechnya. They didn't nominate Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. They don't really go for digital humans that much anymore. So I guess it also just really depends on like how much of a leap forward here is, how much of it was done in real time as opposed to post-production time, how seamless it is. Because like maybe that could really like help its case, but I don't think the AI thing is going to kill it, considering the AI training is mostly what we see in deepfakes anyway. And I'm not saying this is a deepfake, because like, for example, like, even like The Irishman used AI training data to create this, at least an idea of what Robert De Niro's character should look like, and all the other characters. And then with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, they had a younger Harrison Ford, like a CG Harrison Ford face, like how you saw in like, Blade Runner, and what was that movie called? What was that movie called? Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. Like, they had the CGI head, but they put a deepfake over the CGI head of Harrison Ford, so that it had a more realistic quality to it. So, like, but even then, that didn't get nominated. But then again, like, I think maybe if Indiana Jones had, because the weird thing about Indiana Jones is that, and the Dial of Destiny, is that while that I feel like was seamless, like the actual young Harrison Ford, that was about as good as you could ask for, and he was doing a lot and was on screen for like around 20 minutes or so. The rest of the movie's effects were just not that good, so maybe that's what held it back. But I don't know. Here probably could happen, but I don't think the AI is going to hold it back. Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of people do not have this in the list. Hell, I think the Oscar expert didn't even have it on the list in general. I think we're doubting Deadpool and Wolverine too much. All right, I think we are doubting Deadpool and Wolverine a bit too much. I do have it at number 5 because, admittedly, the first 2 Deadpool movies did not get nominated. They did not receive nominations. I mean, hell, the first Deadpool made the top 20, round 1 of the shortlist, but it didn't even make it to round 2. And then Deadpool 2 didn't even make the list of 20. But, however, I view Deadpool and Wolverine as a similar trajectory to Spider-Man No Way Home, where the first 2 films, as cool as they weren't really that groundbreaking in terms of visual effects. It was mostly just kind of like, all right, yeah, like, it's pretty cool what they were doing, but nothing really that amazing. But then you get to the third film, which is a lot larger in scale, with a crazy multiverse story involving many different kinds of characters with different powers, and then suddenly that gets a nomination. And I don't think you can use, like, its late release as a reason for Spider-Man No Way Home to have gotten nominated, because, look at other late release movies that didn't get nominated at the Oscars. Cats didn't get nominated. Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb didn't get nominated. What was it? Poor Things didn't get nominated. Society of the Snow didn't get nominated. And yet those all made the final shortlists. So I think Spider-Man No Way Home, it didn't get nominated because it was a late release. It got nominated because it was the most impressive achievement out of the 3 movies. And I think Deadpool 3 might do that. Granted, this is the only Marvel movie that's coming out this year, but at the same time, Marvel always gets nominated. Like, granted, they didn't get nominated in 2011 and 2015, but also there was very, very, very strong competition. Mainly in 2015, there was exceedingly strong competition. This year is, in terms of like overall competition, it's not as strong. It's just not. Like, 2015 was probably the best year we've ever had for visual effects in terms of like how much competition there was. This, it's like, it's not that amazing of a year. But still, I think because, like, it again, it is the only Marvel movie that is coming out this year. But again, I feel like because Deadpool and Wolverine is supposedly a bigger story with way more crazy multiverse stuff, I think that might get it in. If it is doing the most out of all these Deadpool movies, I think it'll get in. And a lot of people are saying Mufasa the Lion King. All right, this is where I have to back off. I have to back off of this because I remember in my previous predictions video, or at least the one where I talked about visual effects, I backed off of Mufasa. Like no, I had Mufasa in. And I said, you guys, you might want to have this in your top 3. Because Dune, Planet of the Apes, Lion King. And I gave off a lot of reasons why, including the fact that Lion King swept the Visual Effects Society, the first film. And and ever since I saw the trailer and I was like, oh no, I need to back off of this fast because this does not look as good as the first film. The first film actually looked like, oh man, like this looks like they shot it in Africa, like with all these animals. Like it's kind of crazy how real this looks. Mufasa does not look as good. It does not. Like, and what's worse is that the characters have more like cartoony faces, and I feel like, yeah, the audience is gonna have a ball with it, but I think in terms of visual effects, it's kind of taking things a bit backwards. I feel like it's taking things backwards. Because again, the audience is gonna be really excited about that. But also, the visual effects branch historically does not care what the audience thinks. The visual effects branch of the Oscars, they snubbed Pacific Rim, a movie that people really liked, in favor of The Lone Ranger because The Lone Ranger had better visual effects. Everyone was saying, nominate Everything Everywhere All at Once and Poor Things and Oppenheimer for visual effects. Purely because they just love the movies and people just view it as a Best Picture award. But the Oscars the visual effects branch went, no, we don't care how you feel. We care about the actual technical achievement of it all. And they didn't even shortlist Everything Ever All at Once. They didn't shortlist Oppenheimer. And I genuinely don't think they would have shortlisted Poor Things if its release date was just that late in December. To where no one had even seen the movie at that point. And Mufasa, I feel like, will make the shortlist because December release. But just looking at that trailer, the effects do not look as good in terms of the photorealism of it all, which is why The Lion King got nominated in the first place and why it won 3 Visual Effects Society awards, including the top prize. It's just not as photoreal as the first one. It's just, Mufasa is just not as photoreal. Because again, they make the faces more cartoony. And in doing so, it makes them look less real, which, again, maybe it works from a story perspective, but from a technological perspective, it is taking things backwards. It's not progressing the technology itself any further. And again, even some of the environments just don't look as good. It's just a very weird looking movie. And it feels like they're going for more style over it looks like they're going for more style over photorealism, which again, it might work for audiences, but for the visual effects branch, I don't think it's going to go over that well. Especially since, for example, let's look at Mowgli, that Netflix Jungle Book movie that Andy Serkis directed. You look at the images of the animals in those movies, and they look very strange because they're more anthropomorphized in the faces, and they look, more expressive, which again might work for audiences. But hell, Mowgli didn't even make the top 20 in the short list. Now, granted, this is Mufasa, and it is coming out later, and this is a bigger deal than some Netflix Jungle Book movie, but at the same time, I think the style over photorealism is going to hurt Mufasa in visual effects because, again, the visual effects branch, they look at the technology and they look at that alone, and they only judge it based on that, and they're not really going to care if everyone's like, what? The animals were more expressive this time and you don't nominate them? I don't have good faith in Mufasa. Now, it might get a Visual Effects Society nomination for Outstanding Visual Effects in a Photoreal Feature, but also, like we're kind of like, but I guess it also depends on like how strong, like if they're gonna put here in supporting visual effects or not. And I guess it also depends on if Gladiator is, visual effects driven or supporting visual effects. And it's just overall not as competitive of a year as some years past. So it might get in there, but I think the buck stops at the Oscars. I don't think they're going to do it. And then there's War of the Worlds, which I don't know if this movie's even coming out, because there's supposed to be a War of the Worlds movie coming out. And no, it's not War of the Worlds Extinction or something like that. It's not like the Asylum movie. There's supposed to be there's supposed to be a War of the Worlds movie that has been rated. That's supposed to, like, I'm assuming is coming out this year, and it's being directed by a visual effects artist. And the visual effects branch loves those. They love movies directed by people experienced in visual effects. Joseph Kosinski with Top Gun Maverick. What was it? The director of Godzilla -1. Gore Verbinski used to be a visual effects artist, and his movies constantly get in with the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy and even Rango. And so, it also depends, but then again, we don't even have a trailer for War of the Worlds, so I would need to see a trailer, but I don't know, that could be a dark horse. That could be that film that just comes out of nowhere that we're not expecting and just kind of sneaks in. Like Godzilla -1 or All Quiet on the Western Front or something like that. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, a lot of people have this in as well, but the reason why I do not have Furiosa in, the effects are not as good as the previous film that came out 9 years ago. They're just not as good. Like, the effects in Mad Max Fury Road are so amazing and still hold up 9 years later. And Furiosa doesn't even look as good as that film in terms of visual effects. Like, some of it does look very noticeable. So, with that logic, why would I predict Furiosa to get a nomination at the Oscars for that? I just don't think it's going to happen. The effects are just not, like, the fact that the previous film that came out 9 years ago had better effects than this, I think is going to hurt it. I think that's going to hurt, Furiosa. So, yeah. I have Blitz in at number 9 because if this movie, like, I don't know when this movie's coming out, but considering it's not even going to be at TIFF, I have to assume it's going to be a very, very late contender. And if it's a very late December contender, it's probably going to get in the short list because, again, the pattern is there. When you look at the visual effects short list, a lot, like, they will like, some of the bigger surprises are movies that are December releases. I mean, hell, just look at this year, or technically last year's movies. 4 of them were December releases, including films that just did not get nominated, like Society of the Snow, Poor Things, Rebel Moon. They, like, especially Poor Things and Rebel Moon, they would not have been nominated they would not have been shortlisted if they came out in like way earlier in the year. So yeah. Then we have Better Man, which is very fascinating. I was recently told by someone who's in this Oscar sphere about Better Man, and apparently Better Man is an upcoming Australian biographical musical drama film about British singer Robbie Williams. And apparently Robbie Williams is going to be portrayed by a CGI monkey. Now, this is weird. Like, and so why do I have this at number 10? Well, it is supposedly coming out. Yeah, Christmas Day in the United States. That is easily enough for this film to, like, show up on the short list. Like, kind of a prestigious film in a way, but yet it's also a December release. I feel, but I don't think it's going to get nominated because, well, for one, we already got, like, a monkey movie in here. Or we already got, like, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think that's already going to be a thing. And because, like, I don't know if, like, one monkey is going to make the movie, like, a big, like, visual effects contender. Like, I mean, hell, even, like, Gigi and Nate, which got in the top 20 a couple years ago, didn't get nominated. So, and also, I think it would also depend on what kind of monkey. Like, is it going to be, like, a monkey-human hybrid, like a man with a monkey face? Or is it going to be, like, a capuchin monkey, like a little one, or is it gonna be like a mandrill, like a big monkey? Like, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what kind of monkey they're going for. It's weird. Yeah, I know I'm going on a tangent here, or even like, or is it even going to be a monkey? Or like, are they just saying monkey, or is it like actually going to be like a chimp or a gorilla? Like, okay, I think they probably would say gorilla, but a lot of people will call like chimps monkeys stuff. But again, you know what I mean? Like, this is just strange. I probably will put it in the top 10, but I'm not gonna. But I don't think it's gonna make it in. Make it in the top 5. No. And then on the outskirts, I have Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire, which is interesting because so far the only film in this MonsterVerse to miss the shortlist was Godzilla: King of the Monsters. And even then, that was a way more competitive year. But I don't know. Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire. It might, especially since the reviews are not great, they might just go, okay, we've seen this before. Next, Wicked. I want to put Wicked in the shortlist. But I don't know. It might just be Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, where we think it's going to get nominated, but it just might not, because there are a lot of visual effects in Wicked, but also it's like most of it is like environment work, and do they want to do that? Are they going to do that? I don't know. Beetlejuice. A lot of people might say it's going to get in the shortlist, but I think the stop motion stuff might be considered too old school. Like they don't really care about the narrative. They don't really care about the narrative behind the effects. They kind of they really just want to go for like the big prestige films. No, why am I saying prestige films? Like the actual advancements in visual effects. And I don't know. It's sort of like how Oppenheimer, did the practical explosion, even though I think Beetlejuice is going to be a little bit more impressive than that. I don't know. The first Beetlejuice didn't even get nominated, and that was like when stop motion was a big thing. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be, no, I'm not pretty sure. I'm 100% positive that there will be CGI in Beetlejuice, but again, I think as a whole, it might just be considered too old school. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the first two did not get shortlisted. Now, granted, we don't know if, actually, I know, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 did not make the top 20. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, maybe it did, we don't know. But, I don't know. But it is coming on December, which might give me reason to put it in the top 10 alone, but we already have a few movies in, like, the shortlist, like, that are December releases, like we have Mufasa, we have Blitz, we have Better Man. I don't know if I'm gonna put, I guess it would also depend on, like, is War of the Worlds actually coming out this year, so we'll have to figure that out. But I don't know. Twisters, a lot of people are saying Twisters, but I don't know. Tornadoes, like tornado destruction and stuff, I feel like that might be just too much. Been there, done that. We don't, it's not as impressive anymore. Again, like, yeah, the first Twister did get nominated, but come on. It would not, like, that was like a very groundbreaking film at the time. Like, nowadays, CGI tornadoes are all over the place. They're not, no. Rebel Moon, The Scar Giver, I think makes, is probably gonna make the top 20, but I don't think it's gonna make the short list, like the final short list. It can't, like that, like I still don't think there's any way the first Rebel Moon could have gotten shortlisted other than the fact that it was a December release. Like, no way. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, I don't know. It might miss the shortlist, but who knows. Quiet Place Day 1, Megalopolis, Alien Romulus. A lot of people are going to try to predict Alien Romulus, but I say no, because yes, a lot of the Alien movies got nominated, and yes, even the most recent one, Alien Covenant, got shortlisted. But come on, Alien Covenant was way larger scale than anything that Alien Romulus is. Like, Alien Romulus is going to be more like Prey, where it's more small scale. It's not going to be like trying to be like the biggest visual effects showcase. It's just not going to be that. So, yeah. Sound. This is interesting. Dune's winning. Full stop. Let's go. I think that's calling it a day. Blitz, it's a World War II-esque film. There is like a bombing, so that might happen. Yeah. Gladiator. I feel like it's safe to say, again, considering I don't really know what other Best Picture nominees, other than maybe Joker, but again, wobbly. But Gladiator 2, it probably might get in. Joker 2, it's a musical, and it's the Joker, and even like the first film got nominated for sound mixing and sound editing, so it might get in here. And I think this is where we will see like the one nomination for Furiosa. Like it might, I think at maximum, Furiosa gets sound and makeup and hairstyling. I think that might be it. Because it doesn't really have any other great potential anywhere else. A Quiet Place Day 1, I don't think, A Quiet Place Part 2 didn't get nominated, so I don't think so. This is where I'm kind of just like, I'm not sure what's going to happen at this point. Like, Twisters, Civil War, Wicked, Amelia Perez, Fall Guy, Megalopolis, Here, Sing Sing, Conclave, Madam Web. Yeah, Madam Web, because that movie has the greatest sound mixing ever, especially for Tahar Rahim's character. Let's go, Madam Web sweep. But yeah, other than like, I honestly don't, like, do I want to say this is just going to be our 5? Because, like, I don't know what other contenders there could be. Like, what other, like, actually viable contenders are going to be in Best Sound? Like, I don't want to call it, like, I did try to call production design last year at this point, but I genuinely don't know what could get in. It would have to be something that I'm not expecting over at TIFF or, like, later on in the season, because I just have no clue. Like, I just don't know. Original score. This is also where I want to prioritize Best Picture nominees. And I don't know, maybe this might bite me in the ass considering I have The Room Next Door. Maybe the Room Next Door at number 5 might bite me in the ass, but I don't know. Like, Alberto Iglesias could get in. I mean, he did get in for Parallel Mothers, and that was, like, unexpected. But again, in recent years, the Oscars have shown they prefer Best Picture nominees in their original score category, unless you're John Williams. I mean, even this year, somehow American Fiction got into score, which that still doesn't make any sense to me. Not over Spider-Verse, not over The Zone of Interest. What? And even The Zone of Interest was in Best Picture, but regardless. Dune, that's winning. Blitz, I don't know. Again, I'm just kind of going along with the fact that it's probably going to be a big picture contender overall. Sing Sing, even from people I've heard, like that I've seen it, it looks like they are also predicting Sing Sing for score, so I just might do that. Here, right now I have it in for Best Picture, but that could honestly miss. And again, The Room Next Door, maybe, but at the same time, Emilia Perez is a musical, but is it an original musical? If it's an original musical, then maybe I might want to put Emilia Perez in. Again, if I change my mind, I'll update my award expert app stuff. Yeah. But if Emilia Perez is an original musical with like original songs, then yeah, it would probably get in. Anora, Fire Inside, Juror Number 2, Joker, Conclave. Yeah, because like again, a lot of these are Best Picture contenders. Conclave, Challengers, Queer, Gladiator 2, I don't know, Michaelopoulos, Maria, Nosferatu, Two Kinds of Kindness, Mufasa, Inside Out 2. Again, I'm just kind of naming off a bunch of films, but and what's interesting is that the Academy is going to be expanding their shortlist of original song nominees to 20, so that's going to be fascinating. And then we have the last category, which is animated feature. This is where I need to own up to something, because I thought, like, man, at the beginning of the year, I was like, yeah, The Wild Robot's gonna take animated feature. No one even cares about Inside Out 2. It's not gonna be that great. And then Inside Out 2 came out. Everyone fucking loves it. Oh my god. And it's making a shit ton of money. Like, oh my god. Like, even people, I have friends that were, like, very pessimistic about Inside Out 2. Like, why is Pixar doing more sequels? Do original movies. They went to go see the movie and were like, this is maybe one of Pixar's best. I'm like, best? What? Like, the doubters, like, are saying this movie's amazing. So, I think Disney is just back this year. They're back. They're not going to lose 3 years in a row. So, yeah, I honestly can't believe it. Like, Inside Out 2 is just going to win Best Animated Feature, my god. Now, granted, The Wild Robot, it is going to TIFF, so maybe, I don't know, but no, why am I even entertaining that? Inside Out 2 is like putting everyone's butts in seats. They're loving it. They're crying. They're laughing. This is just going to happen. They're just going to do that. So yeah. Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, like a couple of images have been shown of this movie. It looks fascinating, but admittedly, I'm kind of like, aside from Inside Out 2 and The Wild Robot, I'm wondering if anything else is really stable, because I don't know. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, that might get in if people really love it, but again, we have almost nothing to go off of with this film, because so much could change when it comes out. And same thing might go with Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, although we do have a little bit more of a jumping off point, because Aardman is a very much established studio, but also Chicken Run didn't get in. But at the same time, I don't know, I know it's weird to say, but would it be not as hard to screw up Wallace and Gromit? I don't know. Than Chicken Run? I'm not really sure. But right now I might have Wallace and Gromit in right now. And then I'm putting in Flow because everyone else is doing it. Because I was thinking maybe I'll put in Memoir of a Snail, but then I realized, wait, no, people are loving Flow. The reviews are incredible. And cuz you got to have at least one independent animated film somewhere. You need to have it in there somewhere. And I think Flow might be it, but then again, I don't know. Memoir of a Snail might do that. It is from the same director of Mary and Max, but I don't know. Sometimes sometimes the director's clout doesn't really translate well when you show the movie. For example, that didn't happen with Wendell and Wild. Henry Selick was he directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. He directed James and the Giant Peach. He got nominated for an Oscar for Coraline. And then, Wendell and Wild didn't get nominated. So, I don't know about about Memoir of a Snail. I don't know. The Imaginary, maybe, but I don't know. The Most Precious of Cargoes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. This does have a good narrative behind it. It is the first, ever, full-length motion picture, Looney Tunes movie that's just completely animated. And there is the whole Coyote versus Acme thing going on, but does Hollywood care about it? I don't know. I think this would have to be, considered, the reviews, I feel would have to be so unbelievably good. It would have that people are no, we have to get it in. We have to. So, yeah. Chicken for Linda, I don't know. Orion in the Dark has pretty good reviews, but I don't know. The people that like it aren't very strongly passionate about it. And you're wondering why I have Moana 2 down here. I don't know. Something about Moana 2 is not giving me very good vibes, because this is how do I describe it? This was a movie that was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus series, and I don't know how well that's going to translate to a movie. And especially since Lin-Manuel Miranda is not doing the song, or is not writing the songs for Moana 2, even though Moana, the whole movie was built around Lin-Manuel Miranda's music, something's not right. I'm very sus of Moana 2. Something's not happening. Something's not clicking with me right. Valleymon, the Polar Bear King, maybe. Despicable Me 4, for a fact it's probably going to get in at the Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and the PGA, but the Oscars will not touch Illumination. They won't do it. They are not gullible enough to go for just the big Illumination commercials. And then Kung Fu Panda 4, man, I had faith in this movie at the beginning of the year, but the fact of the matter is, the reviews are just not strong enough. The reviews it is by far the worst reviewed Kung Fu Panda movie to date. And if Kung Fu Panda 3 couldn't even get in, I don't think Kung Fu Panda 4 is going to get in. It's sad. It's really sad, but people are just overall very disappointed in this film, and I don't think that, I think that might hurt it. I think that will very much hurt it. And guys, those are my updated Oscar predictions for the below the line categories. And now I want to pass the question off to you. What are your below the line Oscar predictions? Like, I'm not gonna do like documentary and the short films for a very long time. I'm probably not even gonna do the documentary. No, not the documentary, but I'm probably not going to do the short films until like once we get the short list and it's like the final nominations, because there's just too much going on there. And consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, Nosferatu will get no nominations.